session, we'll be looking at review of literature, and this presentation will focus on literature review and why do we need to do literature review. What are the essential components of literature review? What are the different approaches that can be used to review literature? And why is it important to do appraisal of literature and how do we do it, as well as gap analysis. The first presentation was actually focused on publishing in high impact journals and why we have to really emphasize quality. Similarly, if you want to do literature review, emphasis should be on quality papers, because it's been observed over time that most studies often review what is available, and some of the things that are available are usually they are not of high quality, and teasing out the gap in knowledge or bringing out the knowledge gap may be difficult. Review of literature basically involves critical assessment and appraisal of conceptual, theoretical, and empirical literature in a particular area. That is, for every research study, whether we are doing our thesis or want to publish in high impact environments, or want to publish in journal article, it is very important that we do an assessment of these three main components, particularly for our PhD thesis or our master's thesis. The various concepts in that particular area or concepts that are related to the topic, you need to do a critical appraisal. What are the various concepts? They must be identified. They must be reviewed. As different studies, different scholars describe the concepts. The whole essence of reviewing the concepts is to create a conceptual framework that can link up the different concepts together and bring out meaning from the concepts to clarify to the potential readers what the concept actually mean and how they have been used by various studies. The other component has to do with the theory, the theoretical review, where the focus is on the various theories underlining that particular topic. What are the various theories? The theories must be identified. Similarly, the empirical review. What are the past studies that have been done? How have they carried out the past studies? What method have they used? What are their findings? What are their conclusions? It is important to do these three essential review for one purpose: to identify knowledge gaps. What are those things that we don't know that we need to know? For instance, if you want to publish in high impact journals, one easier way to get that done is to do good, robust, and extensive review. Not even good, excellent review. If you do excellent review in that particular area, you can even get published in 4-star journal, that is the highest ranking of journals. For instance, you want to do something on IPO pricing. Who are the known authors that are published in that area? Where have they published? For instance, if they are published in 4-star journals, what are the issues in IPO pricing that they have discussed? Having read their own work, You should be able to bring out what they have not done that you want to now do that can add to body of knowledge. Possibly, by the time you're able to identify that and do your own research and come out with new findings, if you submit your own article to that same 4-star journal, it will be easier. The editorial team will be convinced that, one, you have identified the state of knowledge. Two, you have identified the established known authors in that particular area. Three, you have identified the journals where those authors have also published. Possibly, the top authors, the top scholars in that area are likely to be the reviewers of your own work. And by the time you also cite them in the references, they know that you have consulted. They know that in terms of knowledge, you have identified the gaps because you have actually read the work and you have appraised the work of the established scholars that will be possible reviewers. By the time those ones also review and they were able to comment that you have added to body of knowledge, the editors will not have no choice than to say that this work is publishable. When you get favorable comments, they will have no choice than to make that decision. Because if the review is not done extensively and is not done excellently, it might be pretty difficult. It might be difficult to get published in high impact environments. That is why the starting point for any good research, particularly in our own discipline, our discipline, we are the quantitative research school of research, where emphasis is usually on testing theories. So it is important for us to understand the literature and not just doing annotated bibliography by just appraising, by reviewing. We are to focus deeply on what others have done, how they have done their studies, with the mind of identifying weaknesses, problems, challenges with what they have done, so as to bring out new things or do what they have done in a new way, so that we can have a new story. Because when you do review or you want to publish anything, you want them to answer some salient questions. What is new about my study? What is the value addition? If you cannot answer those questions convincingly, that you are adding value convincingly, not arguably. There are ways you can argue or bring out something, but you are not convinced. You can't see the light. It might be pretty difficult to get it published. If you are not convinced, the reviewers are not likely to be convinced. Similarly, examiners may not be able to see your contributions when they assess your thesis to say that this person has expanded the frontiers of knowledge. So one important aspect of our research is the literature review of literature. The whole essence is to expand the frontiers of knowledge. You must first understand the state of knowledge before you can expand the frontier. And it requires you to search for literature in high impact environment. In our field, we are fortunate these days that we have several databases that we can get materials with just a click of a mouse. We can get high impact materials. We have different rankings of journal, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star. We have the Association of Business Schools done by deans of universities in the US, in the UK, in Australia, ABCD rating of journals. We can get them. We have databases like Elsevier, Science Direct, Emeralds, JSTOR, Wiley, Springer, Sage, where we have the host high impact journals, top journals in our different fields. For example, there are some specific high impact journals in the area of environmental accounting. If you want those journals, just go to list of ratings of journals, for instance in the UK, 1-star, 2, 3, 4-star. You see those journals, and those journals are housed in those databases. If you get them, you'll be able to see the state of knowledge in the area of environmental accounting. If you are working on IPO pricing, you should be able to see, because IPO pricing is domiciled to some extent, to a large extent, in finance. If you are also bringing another accounting variable to it, you should be able to see Journal of Finance. Who are the top authors? JSTOR hosts Journal of Finance, and that's the topmost journal in finance, published by American Financial Association. If you are in accounting, you must be reading works of American Accounting Association, American Finance Association. Those are the top guys. Those are the people that establish the theories. They are the forerunners in that area. Because if you don't read them, you will not be able to add value. You can't identify gaps. Because while they were developing the theories, while they were doing their own study, what they see, the kind of human being they see, for example, in behavioral finance, they see to a certain extent. Most of the theories are based on rationality, that people are supposed to be rational. But in real life, if you come to another context like our own context, there are so many irrational behaviors which would make you, if you are critical, some of those assumptions, by the time you start relaxing the assumptions, you know that those assumptions are not plausible in other contexts. You may need to test those theories or critique them. I'll give my own personal example. The M&M theory, capital structure theory, one of the main assumptions is that the market is perfect. They can assume perfect market, though it's not also perfect in the developed market. But in this part of the world, the market is highly imperfect. That's a strong criticism against that theory. And that was what brought other theories, that there will be opportunity for arbitrage. The market cannot be perfect. All of us cannot have perfect information in the market. So it's a way of precising and be able to bring out something new. That is why I said we don't do annotated bibliography. Annotated bibliography, just hook, line and sinker. Just take it that way and report it. Where is your own voice? We can't hear your voice. That's why as an academic you must be able to argue. You must be controversial, not in terms of issues that are not academic. You must, in your area, you must be controversial. You must disagree. If you don't have a disagreeing mind, you will not survive as an academic. You must be critical for you to be disagreeable. You must be able to look at things critically. You must be a deviant. You must deviate. I'll give you an example. A student, an applicant in my university came up to present his PhD proposal, seeking admission for PhD, and he came to bamboozle us with modeling, volatility modeling, returns, risk returns, and we're just laughing. I just asked him one question. If you are doing volatility modeling in Nigeria today, I'll look at the references he brought and what he said he wanted to do, T-gash, M-gash, fantastic. I said, I look at these references. You have not quoted Salisu 2017, Salisu 2016. You are wasting your time. Because Salisu has extended the known authors in that area, Narayan and Narayan, world-known authors. He has extended their work and criticized their work and was able to publish in that top journal. In fact, it's a remarkable achievement from developing country by a scholar resident in developing country. And I said, you want to do this in a PhD. What are you going to contribute for knowledge? You want to stay here for 3 years or 4, 5, 6, 7 years. At the end of the day, we'll give you one paper, say Doctor of Philosophy. We won't do that. Why I was able to detect that was because I understood the state of knowledge. And now Salisu was able to publish in that area because he knew the known experts in that area and what they have done and where they are publishing. He has read their work. He was able to identify the pitfall and the shortfalls in their work. If you Google my work, for example, on firm performance and capital structure, while I was coming up as an academic in my undergraduate days, the first time I heard about M&M was from Professor Akintoye, Modigliani and Miller. Yeah? And what they said, what they did, capital structure will not affect the value of firm. Since that time, it has always been agitating my mind. I said, why those two scholars, why were they looking at only capital structure and firm performance or firm value? Why can't, is it not possible for the value to affect capital structure? That if you are doing well as a company, it could influence the debt opportunities that you have. Has anybody tested that? Has people thought in that direction? Is there any theory that have explained that? I look through the corporate finance test, financial management test. I look at what people have done in Journal of Finance. I was able to see what somebody has done in the US to the best of my knowledge at that time. And I make sure I search almost the reputable database that I've mentioned, Willie, Taylor and Francis, James Toy, Emirat. I search and research. It got to a level that they were reoccurring. I was able to see some few studies. One was done in New Zealand, another one in France, another study was done in the US. That was the most pronounced study, Berners-Lee and others, where they tested that same idea in the banking industry. The other one was in manufacturing.